Yeah, I don't care, Barry. I really don't care what the guy said. I guarantee you it was a mistake, all right? Let me explain it to these people, okay? So today, me and Barry decided to go join the Marines. Awesome, right? Okay, so we walk in and we do all our stuff, and I ended up getting stuck with Chore Boy. Yeah, Chore Boy Tekking. I get to wear a dorky little cap and mop the bathrooms all day. Chore Boy isn't even an official rank. I didn't even make Seaman Recruit. Oh, but Barry, get this. Barry made Commodore right out of the gate. Didn't even have to take a test. Oh, but I had to take a test. I was in there for 4 hours today, and all I got slapped with was a dorky cap, a scarf, and a mop. But oh no, he was in there for 2 minutes. I counted. 2 minutes, walked in, walked out, commanding officer in the Marines, a Commodore. He just really liked him. He's like, yeah, welcome, Commodore Barry the Brick. So I guess I have to ask for your permission, commanding officer. Can I proceed with the video? Okay, well, thanks. That's so nice of you. All right, so today's video is not about a Commodore nor a Chore Boy, but not also really an official ranked Marine either. We're talking about Sengoku today. He used to be the Fleet-Admiral for the first part of One Piece, commanding officer of the entire Marines, so kind of a big deal. Right now, though, he's only a General Inspector, which you might be questioning, like, what is that? Like, General Inspector? Oh, well, it's somebody that inspects things generally, just walks around and and inspecting those battleships. All right, they're inspected. I'm gonna check that water fountain. All right, that's pretty good. Hey, what about some ice cream? Yeah, I'm gonna inspect this ice cream. It's pretty good ice cream. I'm inspecting things, So basically the deal with Sengoku, all right? Huge deal, all right? Fleet-Admiral of the Marines, okay? Although we don't really get to see him all that much in the first part of One Piece while he is the Fleet-Admiral. First time he shows up, I believe, is after Crocodile gets defeated by Luffy, Smoker. They have to have a meeting to figure out who the next, warlord is going to be, because it's the 7 warlords of the sea. You only have 6. That's not good for PR. So they have a meeting at Marigewa. That's where we first get to see Dofi and Kuma. They show up, Mihawk is there, and Sengoku arrives. We also see Suru and some other high-ranking Marines there as well. So Sengoku walks in, Fleet-Admiral of the Marines, really big, tall guy, epic beard that's like braided. He has a seagull on his hat. He's kind of got dorky circular nerd glasses, but you don't call him out for that, okay? He is a dignified officer, all right? So that's where we first get to see him. He pops in every now and then. He's mentioned by a few characters. Like, I remember during the meeting between Shanks and Whitebeard mentions him. There's Garp, and there's Sengoku. Not very many people remember the seas the way they used to be. So he's definitely a part of the old guard there, right? So he doesn't make a big splash into the, the plot of the story until Marineford. That's when they have the big epic battle between Whitebeard. And really, it's not a stretch to say that it was really like a chess match between Whitebeard and Sengoku, because Whitebeard's rocking up to the Marines. Whitebeard knows all about Sengoku. He knows all of his tricks. Sengoku, master tactical strategist. He's a general, basically. He knows how to move his troops and organize them whatever which way, and so the battle really gets on there. Most of the time, Sengoku is spent guarding Ace. He's on the execution platform right there. Eventually, he gets into the fray, but that's not until the latter parts of the battle. And at the end of that battle, the Marines technically won. Their goal there was to execute Ace, and Akainu killed Ace, so okay, that's good. Bonus points. We took out Whitebeard as well. Not really bonus points for the Marines, because that was Blackbeard that showed up and, took out Whitebeard, and then Blackbeard stole his fruit, which is probably a way worse situation than Whitebeard having the Gura Gura is Blackbeard having it. So after that, and after the Impel Down escapees, like all these level 6 prisoners broke out, I can imagine at that point Sengoku, part of him probably felt like a genuine failure as a Fleet Admiral, because all this stuff happened, like, the Blackbeard pirates invaded Marineford, and he used his position as a warlord to, infiltrate and double-cross them, so I bet Sengoku was probably feeling a little bit of guilt for that, and then all these prisoners broke out of Impel Down, so I'm sure part of it was like, I'm a failure, I'm not meant to be a Fleet Admiral anymore, but I also think part of it for Sengoku was just like, screw this, I'm letting someone else handle this hot mess. He's like, you know what, I have put decades of service into this institution. I joined the Marines when I was a pretty young dude. Him and Garp and Suru all joined up pretty much around the same time. I'm imagining in their late teens, early 20s, okay? Sengoku's in his 70s right now, so it's been a while. He's probably put like close to, if not over 50 years of his life, and he's just like, you know what? let a younger man tackle this nonsense. You know, level 6 prisoners running around, Blackbeard's a new Yonko, he's got 2 devil fruits, screw this, I'm too old for this crap, right? So he steps down as the Fleet Admiral, but he's not really retired because he's still around. Honestly, what I think with this is, Sengoku, very important character, and he knows a lot of crap. There was a Vivre card that got revealed a few months back about him. This guy knows pretty much, like, I don't want to say every last dirty secret in the world, because there's stuff at, like, Marijois with Im-sama. I'm sure that Sengoku might not know about the existence of Im, because that seems to be something very limited to only, like, the Gorosei and only, like, his private guard, right? But it's kind of made up for that. He knows about the Will of D. He knows what that's all about. He knows how it connects back to, like, you know, Teach and Law and Luffy's whole family, Garp and Dragon. He knows what the D stands for. He knows what that whole history involves, okay? Just because as the Fleet Admiral, he just has access to this information, pretty much. And I'm not really sure how that happened, like, after you become Fleet Admiral. Is it like a National Treasure 2 Book of Secrets? Like, you become the President of the United States, and it's like, okay, sir, here's the Book of Secrets right here. This is Full Metal Alchemist Volume 4. This is the Book of Secrets right here. You learn it, all the stuff, you know, Area 51. You learn that Hawkeye is the best waifu, of course. You know, you learn all the secrets of alchemy in this secret book, you know? But it might be something like that, where after you become the Fleet Admiral, and after the world government knows that you're going to be a reliable person and that they can kind of trust you, after maybe a few years as a Fleet Admiral, maybe the Gorosei will actually explain this information to you. Or maybe Sengoku discovered it on his own. Maybe Sengoku just pieced it all together, and it's not like he could go anywhere. So I think after he decided to step down, they let him do that. You know, after all, he is kind of getting up there in years. He can't be the Fleet Admiral forever, but he can never retire from the Marines genuinely. He can never be like, you know, okay guys, well, I'm gone now, and puts on the fishing cap and just walks off into the distance and they never see him or hear from him again. Okay, he can never be allowed to do that. The world government won't let him. So they're basically like, all right, tell you what, we'll give you the position of General Inspector. Your job is to hang out in the office all day, wear a Hawaiian shirt, munch on rice crackers, drink tea with your giant gorilla and your goat. And yeah, he has a giant gorilla and a goat as his pets, whatever. Everybody needs a friend, you know, and that's going to be your job from now on. It's just a BS kind of position, just so the world government can still keep an eye on Sengoku and know where he's at and know what he's doing, but he doesn't really have a position of authority anymore like he used to, okay? So taking away all the stress from the job while also keeping him within eyeshot. I think that's the goal of the world government, okay? And then when we're talking about Sakazuki, very briefly, that's not the focus of this video, but Sakazuki as the Fleet Admiral, I don't think he knows about the Will of D and stuff yet. He just became the Fleet Admiral in the last 2 years. I don't think the world government would be that, you know, excited to share with him all that, you know, secret information. Especially, it really does seem that the Gorosei and the Fleet Admiral Sakazuki right now, they seem to be grinding gears against each other. They don't, you know, Sakazuki's like, this is kind of BS, you know, like how they're making me do all this kind of stuff. They're not letting me run the Marines the way I want to run the Marines, you know, and the Gorosei are like, okay, this new guy, I mean, he's strong, he's Sakazuki, but, you know, he seems to be butting heads with us, and I don't know if they're gonna like that too much. Sengoku was probably a lot more easygoing with that, you know, he kind of, after being a Marine for so many decades, and, you know, after being an Admiral for so long, he kind of figured out what the Gorosei wanted it, like, expected from him. And so, actually, that was another reason why he stepped down. It was because after Marineford, you know, remember that scene where Sengoku's, you know, he's, you know, sitting down, he's shirtless, he's still ripped, I mean, the dude is still shredded, but he's sitting there, and then I think it was Brand New that came up to him and is like, Sir, impel down, level 6, Magellan's beaten, there's prisoners all over the world, and Sengoku freaks out about this. He's like, whoa, okay, level 6 prisoners are free in the world. Okay, we need to issue wanted posters immediately. We need to dispatch all of the battleships. We need to get the vice admirals. I was like, yes, sir. The higher ups say we're not supposed to do that. So the world government, the Gorosei, they didn't want to panic. They didn't want the world, like, here are all these dangerous level 6 criminals that are free in the world now, like Burndy World and Douglas Bullet are back in action, just like, so they put a lockdown on this situation. They wouldn't let Sengoku go after them. So Sengoku, I think that was the last straw. He was just like, this is BS. Oh my god, the world government. That's the point where it's like, he has a lot of power, but he simultaneously has no power. That's the thing. I think I could feel that with a lot of the Marines. Like, imagine, like, Sengoku, or even, like, Akainu. any of the Marines, really, Garp, joining up at a young age, starting out as a chore boy, or possibly a seaman recruit. That was probably a better option, right? So they start out, and they're thinking, probably the same way that, like, Kobe is thinking right now, like, you know what? I'm gonna be a damn good Marine. I'm gonna fight for the citizens of this world. I'm gonna protect the world from pirates. I'm gonna rise through these ranks, okay? And you have that ultimate goal. Like, Kobe's ultimate goal is to become an admiral. Okay, in the Marines. Maybe even the Fleet-Admiral. I think Kobe has the skills for it. Give him a few decades of training. I think he could be Fleet-Admiral someday. But it's like, you know, I'm gonna rise through these ranks. I'm gonna get higher and higher and higher. And every time you rise through the ranks, you get a little bit more power. You know, you get your own ship that you can command, a large crew. Eventually, if you become Vice Admiral, you're probably gonna know hockey and all that stuff, and all these, you know, Shiki techniques and everything, and a very big crew, and a fleet of battleships that you can command. And then you're an Admiral after that. You're one of the 3 strongest, well, technically 4, because including the Fleet-Admiral, but one of the strongest soldiers in the entire Marines, and you have all this authority, and then you become the Fleet-Admiral. Like, I did it. I can now run the Marines myself, and I'm gonna impart my kind of justice to protect the world. And then the Gorosei kind of tap you on the shoulder and be like, yeah, you do what we say. But I want to do... No. The Marines are really powerful. You're like the strong right arm of the world. We're the brain, though. We're the one that commands you, and if you don't like that, we can always arrange your replacement pretty quickly. So I think Sengoku, Sakazuki's realizing that right now. I think Sengoku realized that years ago. Like, at the end of the day, he's simultaneously a figurehead for all of the young Marines to look up to and be like, that is our single strongest soldier. That's our Fleet Admiral right there, commanding all of us. Fleet Admiral Sengoku. The dude can turn into a giant shining Buddha. Man, that man is magnificent. So he's simultaneously this figurehead for all the Marines, but he's a pawn, just another pawn on the board for the Gorosei. He's an important, not a pawn, he would be like the queen, you know, he's like an important piece on the chessboard. But, you know, somebody is still playing the chess, you know, like there's somebody else actually behind that piece. All right, so that's the situation there with the Fleet Admiral slot. I also like to think that when you become a Fleet Admiral, like, that's a very important position. Like, it's not the kind of thing you could just skip ranks to become. I like to think that when you're in the earlier ranks in the Marines, and just as a refresher, here are some ranks we got right here. On the right, we have all of the infantry ranks. That's like Seaman, Recruit, Shore Boy, all the way up to Warrant Officer, which, fun fact, we still haven't seen a Warrant Officer in the One Piece world. Come on, Oda, give us at least one Warrant Officer. And then on the left, we got all the officer ranks from Ensign, Lieutenant, Captain, Commander, Commodore, all the way up to the Admiral classes, Rear Admiral, Vice Admiral, Admiral, Fleet Admiral, okay? So I like to think, like, if you're just starting out, if you're in the earlier ranks, you can skip ranks and it's not that big of a deal. Like, you can go from, like, being a petty officer to ensign if you do something really impressive, you know, like if you take down a really strong pirate, or you show that you have really good command. Like, if you deserve to be an officer, I can see them bumping you up from an infantry rank to an officer rank pretty quickly. That kind of happened with Tashigi. But I don't see you bumping up, like, ranks for admirals. I don't see them taking, like, okay, you're a captain today and now you're immediately promoted to vice admiral. I don't think that's how that works. Smoker, for instance, he was a commodore, and then throughout the time skip, he somehow, you know, became a vice admiral. I don't think he was immediately promoted to that, though. I don't think he was, like, from commodore directly to vice admiral. I think he still had to go through the Rear Admiral class and then Vice. Sort of like, you know, in order to become a Vice Admiral, you have to be a Rear Admiral first. You can't jump ranks. Then in order to become an Admiral, you have to be promoted from the Vice Admiral class. And then Fleet Admiral, that's a little tricky. So I think it really, in that particular instance, that comes down to the Gorosei making a decision. Also, the former Fleet Admiral has a decision. Like when Sengoku was stepping down, he told Kong, by the way, there's going to be a video about him coming up. I know what you're saying, but Kong, we, like, know nothing about him. How could you possibly make of it? Hey, don't question, all right? I got it. I got ideas. I got it set. You know, Barry knows. All right. So I think it's kind of, I'm pretty sure in the actual Marines, it's not a good breach. It's kind of a breach of etiquette to just pat your commanding officer on the back. So I'm gonna back off from that there, and I don't think that's how that works. I don't think you could be in the Marines as, like, the lowest rank and then just walk up to a captain and be like, how you doing, man? I feel like that would not go well. All right, anyway, But yeah, there's going to be a video on Kong. So Kong, though, is the commander-in-chief. Not really a Marine, more of a member of the world government than an actual full-blooded Marine, okay? He's the one that just kind of is the mediator between the upper echelons of the world government, the Gorosei, and the Marines. He's kind of in the middle there. He also commands the Cypher Pole and the Warlord, so he's kind of like straight there, you know, so not directly a Marine, okay? But Kong used to be a Fleet Admiral, then he got promoted, and then Sengoku became the next Fleet Admiral, and then when he was stepping down, he recommended Aokiji be the next Fleet Admiral. Now, that didn't work out too well because the Gorosei also stepped in and they're like, Aokiji as the new Fleet Admiral? I don't know how we feel about that. We're thinking Akainu might be better there. Maybe they thought they can control Akainu better than Aokiji, but that didn't work out anyway either. So that's what led Aokiji and Akainu to have their battle on Punk Hazard. Akainu won, and now he's the new Fleet Admiral, right? So there's probably a bunch of different things that determine whether you can, you know, take that step from Admiral to Fleet Admiral. You know, on the surface, it doesn't seem to be that big of a step. In terms of power, like, I'm sure Sengoku, you know, just because he had more experience in fighting, I'm sure Sengoku was maybe a little bit stronger than, like, Aokiji and Akainu, but probably not by very much, if at all. They might have all been the same basic rank, so it doesn't seem to be that big of a step up in terms of power, but in terms of status, that is a big step up. Because, yeah, Marines will all look to the Admirals, because there's only 3 of them, but there's only 1 Fleet Admiral. I feel like there can only ever be 1. So you look at the one person that's at the very tippy top and say, that is our commanding officer. That is somebody that deserves respect and a salute every time he even steps out of his bedroom in the morning, okay? It's symbolic kind of deal. Now, how did Sengoku get this position? Well, we don't really know this. In fact, we don't know that much about Sengoku's past. We saw him as a little kid. Apparently, he was a fan of calligraphy, so that's cool. By the way, he had the afro his whole life, so afro for life! You know, he's joining the Afro Club next to Brook and Gaimon and Yasuie. Man, Sengoku's got it. You know, he is strong right there. Oda was smart to give that man an afro. Then we get to see him Film Z or Film Z. We see the backstory. Not really a backstory, but we get to see Tsuru and Garp and Sengoku at a young age as they first joined up the Marines as recruits. And then we get the Shiki backstory. Okay, so the way that this went is that at the time that Roger and Shiki were having their confrontation in Ed War, Sengoku was an admiral. Garp was a vice admiral at this point. He could have been promoted to an admiral, but Garp wasn't all for that. It's also really important to mention that there's definitely a fine line in the Marines between active service and office jobs. That there seems to be a definite line there. Like, Vice Admiral is like the highest rank you can get to where you're still like commanding a fleet of ships and traveling around the world a lot of times. When it comes to admirals, they seem to spend most of their time at HQ, you know, behind a desk doing paperwork and stuff. I mean, if they wanted to, they can get a ship together and go out there to sea, but it's usually for very important reasons, like, holy crap, there's a Yonko that's causing problems, or there's a really strong pirate that's doing some stuff, or a warlord went rogue or something. Like, Buggy just went rogue! I'm like, Kizaru's like, I'll take care of this. Or a Tenryubito gets punched in the face by Luffy. It's like, Kizaru's like, I'll take care of this. Kizaru just takes care of everything, you know? After he hits that blunt, he takes care of everything, okay? So, yeah, but they spend most of their time in HQ. Same thing with Sengoku. I don't see Sengoku as the Fleet Admiral of the Marines hopping on a ship and just, alright guys, let's go to that random island and deal with some no-name pirates. I mean, that's not his position. So I think that's why Garp never wanted to make that jump to Admiral. It's like, you know, I can stay as Fleet Admiral, that means I can still command my ships and I can travel the world and I can kind of still do whatever I want. I'm not really limited by, you know, bureaucracy. I'm not stuck in a four-wall office. It might be a nice office, might be a corner office, but that's not Garp's thing. So, Sengoku was an Admiral, though, during the time of Ed War. After that was over, and after Sengoku, you know, Kong kind of issued orders in order to suppress Shiki and make sure everything was okay. That might have been the position there that got Kong promoted to Commander-in-Chief, because I'm also sure that's kind of a difficult position to reach. After this was over, though, after Roger got not executed, but when Roger got captured and he was about to be executed, Shiki threw a little hissy fit, and he's like, I won't let anybody execute Roger except for me! And so Shiki basically just stormed into Marineford without his crew, just arrived at Marineford, just got there. And he's like, where's Roger at? I'm gonna kill him myself with these own 2 hands. And then Sengoku and Garp rock out, and it's raining, and there's nobody else around, and they just take off their cloaks. They've shown off their fleek suits, just kind of cracking their knuckles, and like, Shiki, man, you got balls to come up in here and just show up at Marine HQ by yourself, rocking up to this alone, demanding we give you a criminal who is the king of the pirates. The funniest thing is, he wasn't even there. Roger wasn't even getting executed at Marineford. He was getting executed in Logtown. So I think Shiki he messed up the invitation, or he's like, Roger's gonna be executed. I got to get to Marineford. And he gets there and he's like, yeah, he's not there, man, but you are one of the most notorious pirates in the world, and you just stormed into this place by yourself. You asked for this at this point. It's kind of like playing D&D, and it's like, let's say you get to like a really high level in D&D. Like, let's say you're freaking level 19 or something, and you're like ridiculously powerful, and you think you're so invincible, and you just rock up into the center of this enemy base, and you think, I can take this whole base down by myself. I'm level 19. Let's do this. And you walk in, and the second you walk in, 2 level 20 fighters show up, just cracking their knuckles, and be like, oh, I kind of asked for this. And the DM's like, yeah, you did. And Sengoku and Garp are like, yeah, you did, Shiki. So that was an epic battle that we unfortunately did not get to see. But Shiki got the crap beat out of him, suffice to say, and got tossed into Impel down level 6. Eventually, Shiki breaks free using his devil fruit powers by slicing off his own legs. Ugh. But he gets free. And, I think it's that maybe instant there stopping Shiki. I mean, Shiki was, he's built up to be like the same level as like Roger, like one of those notorious pirates from back in the day. So not only did we capture Roger and we sentenced him to execution, we also captured Shiki. I mean, damn, man, that's pretty cool, right? Like, this is a great week for the Marines. But I think in that instance, because it was Garp and Sengoku that stopped him, it seemed to be that. It didn't seem like there was any other soldiers. It seemed to be like, those two that were really doing it. By the way, this was in, well, I think there was an anime version of this, but there was also One Piece Strong World, like Chapter 0, the bonus chapter for the movie. It is considered canon. All right, Shiki and everything that happened during the movie Strong World, Shiki is still canon, but the events of that movie, like Merville and everything, that didn't happen canonically, but Shiki is still a real character in the story, right? So I think Kong, maybe at that point, gave them a choice. He's like, okay, because you both defeated Shiki, I'll give you, like, a recommendation to become the next Fleet-Admiral, because Kong was probably being promoted to become a Commander-in-Chief at that point, so he's like, I have to recommend either Garp or Sengoku to be the next Fleet-Admiral. Both of you would do a good job, and we all know Garp, his answer was probably like, nah, too much damn paperwork. You could take it if you want, Sengoku. And he walks away. Sengoku and Garp have a great back and forth. I did a whole video about their, like, dynamic together. Go check that out. But they're just very funny together, right? But yeah, so Garp easily turned it down, and then Sengoku was like, well, I mean, I am a Marine. Maybe he thought, okay, maybe if I become Fleet Admiral, maybe I can kind of, the King of the Pirates has been captured, Shiki the Golden Lion has been captured, maybe I can kind of guide the Marines on a new era if I become the Fleet Admiral. So it was sometime after that. It was sometime after 25 years ago that he became the next Fleet Admiral there. And we can assume it was probably that interchange with Shiki that led him to that position. Because by the time the story starts, Sengoku seems to have been the Fleet Admiral for decades at that point. So probably like right at the tail end of, Roger's life at the beginning of the Great Pirate Era, because that was before, maybe Sengoku accepted the position before Roger was executed and he did the whole, you want my treasure? I left it in one place. Great Pirate Era begins, and Sengoku's, crap, why did I accept this job? So, yeah, now, as for his Devil Fruit ability, he's a Mythical Zoan user, the second Mythical Zoan in the entire story right after Marco, and he has the Hito Hito no Mi model, Daibutsu. So he literally becomes a giant, shining metal Buddha, golden Buddha, complete with, like, light effects. Like, he turns into a giant Buddha, and the light just radiates from behind him, like the light of enlightenment or something. Now, what does this ability enlightenment actually mean? Well, it means he could jack people up! That's what it means! It's funny, because the Buddha is supposed to represent, like, a higher plane of existence, like enlightenment and stuff. To be in another state of existence altogether, going beyond your mortal body. And instead it's just like, nope, I'm a giant golden behemoth. boom, shockwave power. So he just stretches out his arm and just emits shockwaves that just like concussively damage the opponent and send them flying like a mile away across the battlefield, okay? He can also like step on you. He straight up punched Luffy. Luffy saw this coming and he's just like Gumu Gumu no giant Fusen and giant balloon, and boom, Sengoku punches that and Luffy's like, this is heavy, and then and so, I mean, I like to think there's another ability that he could utilize with that. You know, the fact that he can turn into a Buddha. I mean, I don't know if Oda would go that route with it. Like, I'm gonna go through all the trouble of giving him a Mythical Zoan to turn into a Buddha, and the only thing he can really do is grow big and tough, and he could fire shockwaves. You'd figure there had to be something else to this. You know, could he at least, like, I don't know, fly or levitate or something? Does the light effect, like, can he do, like, the solar flare and, like, make light so bright that nobody can see around him? Maybe something like that if he wanted to. Maybe he didn't do it at Marineford because that would have blinded all of his subordinates, but he can literally emit a light that's so bright it, like, sears your eyes straight out. Like, my eyes! Like, you're not worthy to stare at the glory of the Buddha. Maybe something along those lines, like, you're too tainted in your soul to observe his glory. An ability like that would make sense for Sengoku, right? You know? So, yeah, I mean, that's his power. I mean, with that status and that Devil Fruit ability, I mean, I'm sure all of the Marines that joined up, I mean, wouldn't you join the Marines if a giant Buddha was the head of it? I mean, that seems pretty damn cool, right? He's like, man, I can take my orders from the Buddha? Okay, fine, we'll go with that, right? At the end of the day, though, he seemed like, you know, he tried to do his job as best as possible. It was just frustrating because he didn't have as much a power as he really wanted. And right now, one of my favorite scenes with him right now in the story is, like, he's walking around HQ and Sakazuki's, like, he's having a headache from all the stuff, you know, all the issues going on in the world right now with, like, the Yonko and Luffy becoming the 5th emperor, and he's like, oh god, this job sucks. And Sengoku just pops his head in, just like, having fun, Sakazuki. Yeah, this job isn't all peaches and cream, is it? And Sakazuki, like, throws up, like, freaking, get out of my office, I'm working. I'm thinking, old man. After the time skip, also, his hair goes gray, although I like to think that it turned gray a long time ago. He was just dyeing it when he was Fleet-Admiral. Gotta keep up appearances and all that, but after the war, he's just like, you know what, man? I'm just gonna chill. I'm just gonna relax. And he just stopped dyeing his hair. He took a few vacations. He just chills out now, right? It's just gotta find the Zen. He is the Buddha after all, right? He shows up at the end of Dressrosa, along with Suru, and, you know, Fujitora there. They eventually end up stopping Jack's fleet, which you could see how they were able to do that. I mean, they had the great tactician Suru, plus the former Fleet Admiral Sengoku, plus Fujitora on the ship escorting Dofi. I could see how they were able to stop, you know, Jack there. But before all that, when he arrives in Dressrosa, Law is there. And Law, of course, you know, he had a connection to Roshinate. He viewed him like his older brother, and he loved him, and he knew it had something to do with the will of D, that's why he died, or that's why he protected Law as much. And so Law asks Sengoku point blank, like, what is the will of D? You need to tell me. I mean, come on, I'm not really family, but Sengoku adopted Roshinate when he was a little kid and raised him as a son. He eventually became a commander in the Marines, and then that led to everything, you know, on Swallow Island and everything with, you know, the birdcage and Dofi killing his own brother. So Sengoku viewed Roshinate like a brother, and Law had a connection to him. So Law, you know, just like, come on, man, just tell me what the will of D is. You gotta tell me why Roshinate died, or why he protected me. You gotta tell me. I need to know. And Sengoku, I think Sengoku had a moment where he gets really serious, and he actually considers telling Law what the will of D is. Because he's just like, man, maybe he does deserve to know after everything. And then he's like, wait a second. I think Sengoku realized he's not trying to find out what the will of D is. He's trying to find out why Roshinate, like, protected him. And to that end, I think Sengoku is very clever there. He kind of looks over at Law and he's like, don't try to look for a reason why somebody loved you. Roshinate loved you. Don't try to explain that away, or there has to be a deeper reason. Like, the only reason he loved you was because of the will of D. Like, no. He cared about you. He protected you. That's as simple as it is. Don't try to make it more complicated, okay? And, you know, he died doing that. So, you know, just make sure to respect his memory and you should be good. And Law kinda, like, we all got blue-balled at that moment, but Law was like, okay, and he walked away. But Sengoku does know. And maybe, I don't know, would he have told Law? I mean, like, maybe he's just like, I don't know, because that information, like, we're not just talking about, like, a little bit of a secret that the Marines are keeping, you know? Like, oh, there's a secret in the Marines, you know? There's a private bathroom for only the admirals. It's down on the left side of the hallway. You gotta knock 4 times, a secret panel opens up, and you can use the private admiral bathroom. Anybody can use it, but you gotta be very careful. You don't want to walk in there when Sakazuki's trying to take a giant lava dookie, okay? If you walk into his private bathroom when he's in there, I mean, you're dead, but it's a really nice bathroom. We're not talking about those kind of secrets. We're talking about a secret that literally the world government tries their damnedest to suppress. Like, the more people that know about what the Will of D is, the more unstable the whole world becomes, you know? So it's just like, that's the reason Sengoku didn't tell him. But he does know. Which I think also I would like to assume Garp would know about it as well, you know, because Garp and Sengoku are good friends, and Sengoku, I mean, Garp is already a Will of D, so I mean, I'm sure Garp probably knows. But yeah, that's our man Sengoku. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and yes, there will be a video on Commander-in-Chief Kong coming up soon, so look forward to that. I'm gonna go swab the poop deck, I guess. All right, Barry. Yes, sir. I'll make sure to get behind the toilets.